Hello, hello, and good morning, loves. Welcome to EQ with Jah, School of Thought, School of Emotions. So, I wanted to start having live conversations. I want to be able to be accessible to not only the growth of myself, but the growth of others. Now, let me take a drink real quick. Let me breathe. Now, with that said, today's conversation is going to be about, I get a lot of questions about walking into the spiritual journey. What is a spiritual journey? What does it look like? How do you know if you're in one? How do you know how to navigate one? What does it mean to be in one? Right now, as it stands, let's use this analogy. You got two types of way to walk into a spiritual journey. The old way, and the way that's been the linear system way that we have held on to for years is, let's say you're a parent and you got kids. Wake up! Get up! Get up! Not only did you startle that child awake, you're setting the tone of their day to reactionary emotions. So when you do this, guess what that child does, or any adult who has to wake up to a shock value, trauma, anything. They go through their whole day in shock value. They go through their whole day pretending that I gotta be ready. But you were never woken up properly, so you're not ready. Now, the second way to walk into a spiritual journey is to, hi, honey, are you ready? Do you see the pattern? You ready to get up and start your day? That's when you get the choice to say, yes, I like that's the best way to wake up. Versus, who wants to wake up that way? That's a spiritual journey. I've had a lot of people say the only way to get to the spiritual journey, they ask that question, why does it take trauma work to get to a place of emotional work? Because we've only taught ourselves how to react to others' emotions, not listen to ourselves. When you don't listen to your own emotions, you become a fractal pattern of imprinting. That means I react and become what I have been shown. So that fractal pattern, which is breaking down into smaller parts, I'm just an imprint of this bigger source that told me to be this way, that told me to act this way, that told me to wake up to this understanding of the person that I am, but not listening emotionally to who I am. Well, let's get something straight. At the end of the day, all of us, at least myself, I had to go through trauma to get to my spiritual journey. But now that I've done it, I know that you do not have to take the stairs to get to the rooftop. There's a nice elevator right over there that you can go ahead and hop on at any time. But no one tells you this. No one gives you the authority of self to say, I recognize, sorry, I don't want this on my hat. I give authority to myself to recognize that I'm able to help develop my own emotional tangibility of self-identity. Now, let me say that again. I have walked through this world as a gay black man, 6'4", 5", and I've been told who I was based on those three things alone. Because you're tall, you're this. Because you're black, you're this. Because you're gay, you're this. Now, that's negating the emotional side of my soul journey. As a child, I'm sitting here thinking, well, oh, I'm all of these things I can't see? Unless you tell me who I am or I have a mirror, I don't know this. So now I think I'm this, and all of my thoughts become reactions. Remember, your thoughts are like pooping. It's like taking a shit. It literally is a byproduct of the brain, just like seeing is a byproduct of the eyes. What you see is not reality. What you see are realities of other people that you get to experience. This cell phone, somebody else created. We're getting to experience it together. This shirt, someone else created. I'm getting to experience and wearing it. The name shirt, someone made. I can call it a bobbly boob. I don't know. The point is that everything that we have taken into our daily lives has been applied through someone else's understanding of emotional tangibility to needing it to function. Right now, as we stand, we're functioning for functionality, not for purposefulness to our passion. Do you understand what I'm saying? In order to attach yourself to what you're meant to be on this earth, you have to emotionally trace back where you started. If you're stuck on an emotion, let's say this, the example I use, like I said, when you get startled awake, wake up. Not only did you take the opportunity away from that person to wake up naturally, you took the opportunity from yourself to help walk someone into love naturally. Does that make sense? When you are startled into love, how does that feel? It feels uncomfortable. Now, when you say, wake up, now I'm waking up through a reaction thinking that that's love because it's my mother, she must love me, and that's how love looks. In actuality, her taking the time, or your dad taking the time to come and say, hey baby, hey, how's that sleep? Are you ready to wake up? Because remember, when you sleep, that is an energy portal between you of the intangible and the tangible to the universe. Your bed is the most sacred place that you can be because you cry there, sleep there, make love there, you get depressed there, watch TV there. You're so vulnerable in your bed that when you wake up, it is an energy that's already in tune into your emotional intelligence of, here's how I'm gonna start my day. That whole getting out of the wrong side of the bed theory, it's true. If I wake up to someone yelling at me, then the imprint of my day is going to be reactionary because it was a reactionary start. If I am eased into it, as love should be, I'm able to walk through it and actually look around and see what I'm supposed to do for self. A lot of the times, when we get depressed, when we get sad, when we get upset, and I'm saying this, I have no problem talking about my past. When I was younger, I was suicidal, I was depressed, I was angry, I wanted to fight, I drank a lot, I did drugs, I did everything under the sun to numb the emotions that I'm with every day by myself. For who? When you numb yourself, who are you numbing it for? The imprinting of conditioning or the cognitive reasoning that's saying I need to do this to protect myself? They're both necessary for your growth, but there's a danger to falling too deep into the dark, which takes you too far into your saturation of self. And then if you're in the light too long, you can burn out. You can overly exert yourself trying to be other people's reactions to emotions. Remember, if I say, how are you? Okay, well, have a good day. That's how I am, because I see that that person wants me to say, what's wrong? What's wrong? They could have said, you know, my day's okay, but it could be better. I'm just having a moment. Okay, you want to talk about it? That gives me the option as an individual to see that I can be empathetic to their situation. But there's people in this life that right now, they want you to fall into the hole with them. Don't walk by a bunch of holes of people begging you to pull them out and you throw down a rope and they pull you in and now y'all both stuck. Give them a ladder and keep walking. That's the emotional journey. This is how you get to what I call emotional intelligence so that you're able to walk into your grace and your glory and your purpose on this earth. We all have a function that correlates back to the purposefulness of our passion. You understand what I'm saying? If this makes sense? When you have a passion to what you feel, you're able to heal. Okay? When you're able to say, you know what? I can see why I love to do this. And now I feel why I love to do this. Now I know what love is. Now I know what love feels like. Now I know what it looks like. I was going to say, feel free to ask questions if you want. This is what I call my school of thought, school of emotions. I want people to be able to have an interactive conversation because we're at the point now where there's so much extraction of love through teaching that people want to make something profitable. I don't need profitability to help love you. What I want to do is plant seeds. What I'm here for is to be a facilitator to the emotional realm that has been negated for generations, because I want you to remember this. We are not our parents' child. We're actually our grandparents' child. Because think about it this way. The egg that was in your mother's womb came from your grandmother because your grandmother had your mom, right? And when she hit puberty and she started to develop those eggs, regardless of how many she discarded, the point is that that womb factory was created by grandmother, and now your mother is a facilitator of life to you and to implant you into this new energy. That's why you have generational gaps where there's grandparents who are so much better to their grandkids than they were to their kids, or grandkids who get along with their grandparents better than their parents, because your parents are the facilitators of emotions, and we keep skipping that part of the journey. They're there to work through what their parents gave them to work through. If your parents gave you trauma to work through, guess what you're doing your entire adult life? Working through trauma, working through past lives, working through their unhealed timelines because they gave you an unhealed timeline. Now, as an adult, it is your choice to step outside of that paradigm and say, wait, I'm reacting this way because I watch my parents react this way. I feel this way because I was told to feel this way. Remember, guilt, shame, anxiety, depression, those are all imprints of someone else's unhealed timeline or your own. And it's not what I would say a logical moment. It's a practical moment of saying, wow, because I followed this to the T. Because remember, logic is only what we get to when we stop and say, I don't know, past someone else telling me what to think past this. Lateral thinking is creativity of, wow, I can see past everything, but I don't know how to start the foundation. Most artists, musicians, singers, people like that, they're lateral thinkers because they're free to express themselves, but it's hard to really plant roots. Most people who are really good at saying I'm practical, or I say practical, but say I'm logical, they go into the I need numbers, I need this, I need like a solid foundation. But in order to understand that, you have to know that when you take logic and lateral thinking, then it creates functionality in your purpose, which correlates back to practical decisions and making healthy choices for your emotional growth. When you hinder your emotional growth to someone else's expectation or explanation to their experience, you stop your own soul growth. Does this make sense? So what I'm trying to get to and say is that we walk through this life mad, not knowing. Here's the question I get all the time. And I ask myself, why am I here? I'm so bored. This is so annoying. I don't want to be here. And we think that this is a not normal feeling. This is a very, very common and normal feeling to feel. When I was younger and I did have my suicidal moments, I didn't realize that that was the question I was asking myself. Why are you bored? And why do you want to give up? Why are you here? Ask that question. Why are you here and why are you bored? Because I don't see anyone teaching me past what I can see I know. Baby, that's a spiritual journey. That's why they say sometimes when you go through that trauma, it brings you out the other side to the phoenix moment of waking up to the universe, or what we call as God, or a higher being that sees something that's in us beyond this flesh. Remember, the body is simply a vehicle. It is a whistle. A whistle does not blow itself. When the wind blows through it, you hear a sound, you get a vibration, you get an alignment to a vibration that, ooh, that resonates with me. That's what I like. That's why it's important to express how you feel. That's why it's important to express exactly what your body is going through. When you feel like you're having an anxiety attack, when I used to have anxiety attacks, you know what I realized? I wasn't breathing. I was so up here, pooping in my head. I was like, Juwan, breathe. Oh, as soon as I breathe, my mind's like, that's why you were getting an anxiety attack, because you were cutting off the oxygen to your body. Your body is a vehicle. It's like running out of gas. You don't get mad at your car because it runs out of gas. You go put more gas in it, right? You fill up your tank. You take a break. You go fill up your tank, and then you go back on your journey. This is what self-reflection is. This is what emotional intelligence is. This is what the journey is all about. So my thing is, and I was going to say, again, feel free to ask questions. I don't mind answering them. This is just me starting a conversation, getting us to a point of owning what we know we innately feel already. You don't need permission to create. We already do it every day when we wake up and go about our daily lives. You create an energy, you create a moment, you create a routine, you create a dialogue. That's creation of emotion. I eat because of an emotion. I drink because of an emotion. Biologically, my body tells me, hey, it's time. And when you ignore your body, then that's when the emotional aspect kicks in. I'm hangry. You're not hangry. Your body's shutting down because you didn't listen to it when it first told you what it needed. That's why we have to learn how to detach the ego, which we do not see without someone telling us, or a mirror, from the soul, which has already been here. This is what Soul Tribe is. This is why when you meet somebody and you know somebody and you're like, damn, we connect so well. How are we connecting so well? It's because your emotional intelligence recognizes the growth you left off at and where you want to restart at. You don't have to go through all of the bull crap that people tell you to go through just to get to here to know that I'm ready. When you're ready, you ask. You just simply say, hey, what do I need to do next? I see that you can do this and I don't know how to do this. This is how I have any conversation with anybody that I've ever met. Hey, that's cool. You can do that. How do you do that? Talk to me about it. And they start talking about it. And then I'm like, well, how do you feel? Why do you like doing it? That's when you start getting into your passion. Passion is always emotions. And passion is always connected to purpose. Okay? Functionality is how you survive. And a lot of us get caught up in the function of functionality, which is when we get into survivor mode and we forget to actually live. We're just surviving to the next reaction. Well, I can't do that because I can't afford that. I can't do that because I can't do that. What's affording it have to do with you enjoying it? There's a lot of ways you can enjoy something you can't afford, but once you shut down that option of experience, then anytime you get close to that experience, you're going to go into the mindset of, I can't afford that. I've watched plenty of people shut down great opportunities because they're thinking about money that's going to be gone 2 seconds later that they used at the bar. But you know what I mean? But then they're like, oh, I could have did that. You could have. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Emotional intelligence starts this journey. Anytime you're able to recognize discomfort, you're growing. This is awake. We say woke. Woke is, here's a linear system, connect them. Where do I go from here? Up. Now it's a triangle. Guess what? Now this is sacred geometry. And then it keeps unfolding and unfolding to make a hexagon of this, that, everything else to unfold and add to what you have, not take away from. This taking away from. Remember, not only am I light, I'm darkness. We're all light and darkness because you cannot grow alone in light. And you cannot grow alone in darkness. They exist within each other, but there's something that has to substitute one or the other if it does grow in darkness. It needs water or something else. If it grows in the light, then it needs air or some element that still carries the elemental makeup of everything on this earth that is from the ethers that comes down to the 3D that is form that makes us. We are not our bodies. We are simply antennas. When we listen to ourselves, that's when we're able to heal the heart. Because remember, your heart has never seen the light of day. Only your eyes reflect the light to your brain, and then your brain thinks that it knows everything because it sees everything the eyes show. Once you're blind, guess what? You can't see shit. Now you got to rely on your other senses. Then your brain stops being so cocky, don't it? And then it has to find a new way to survive. This is why it's important to realize that anything you think you feel is not feeling, it's thinking you feel. Feel it. What do I feel? I feel my heart racing. I feel my body heating up. Okay, what's going on right now? Well, I got a call and someone said something uncomfortable and I didn't know how to process it, so my blood pressure went up. This is a tangible, actual answer to explaining your emotional reaction to something that's natural around you. This is important to get to a level of understanding, to not being reactionary to someone else's reactions. When you follow a timeline of reaction, you become an imprint of that reaction, and then everything else is a byproduct. Example being, you walk down the street, you bump into somebody. If somebody told you, don't you let nobody bump into you, now your emotional reaction is, who you bumping? What you doing? For what? Who does that serve? It could have been an accident, and if it wasn't an accident, just keep it pushing. Or the duality is, someone bumps into you, they say, excuse me, oh, it's cool, have a good day. You too. You just change the energy of that situation and the imprinting of what that person expected to happen, because we've all been taught if someone bumps into you, it's a problem, right? But why is that the only reaction to being bumped into? This is how we have to go through life with all of our emotions at every single unit that we get the opportunity to. Because when you give an answer to something that it doesn't even, and here's the best part of giving an answer to something. You can edit it later. Did you know that? It's not stuck in cement, and cement is man-made anyways, so it's breakable, so it's always able to become something new. So when you're like feeling something, you're like, you know what? I don't know why I'm feeling this. Why? Well, I just haven't processed this before. Okay, that's fair. But can we give it an emotion that we're okay with besides confusion? Sure. Okay, what emotion? How about I'm uncomfortable right now not knowing, but I know that I want to know, so I'm going to look into it later. That's an answer. That's an okay answer. Because guess what the heart gets to do? It gets to calm down. Try this exercise when you get a chance. Put your hand right over your chest and talk, speak. Just speak, just start talking. Do you feel how much your chest vibrates when you speak? Guess what your heart's feeling every time you speak? The vibrations of your intent, the vibrations of your love, the vibrations of your thought, the alignment of your love, the prioritization of your love. Because when you speak, I'm not good enough, I don't believe in that, I don't trust this, the heart has no choice but to say, yeah, we don't trust this. Discard it. Your emotions aren't real. And then we go seek someone else's validation. And they say, this is how you're supposed to feel. This is how you're supposed to react, based on whose standards and what conditioning from what timeline of history. Remember, at one point in time, it was not okay to be a lot of things in public. And now it is, because people have learned how to be comfortable with themselves and say, this is who I am and what I represent, because these are my boundaries of protection, not rules of control. Anytime you're out in public and you start getting annoyed by the environment, that's somebody else's reaction, love. Why? Because your actual reaction should be, how do I feel about this? It's noisy. Let me get up and go. Okay, that's fine. No one's hurt by that. But if your reaction is, oh, they need to shut up, and how dare they, and it's so disrespectful for them to be talking all loud, that's your mama, that's your daddy, that's ancestor, baby. So now you got your whole energy hyped up over somebody else's old ideology of imprinting of reaction. This is what we have to stop doing. It's the same example that I've seen in the media right now, hot button topic, Dwayne Wade and his son saying that he's trans. Not now, not ever do I care what anyone does with their thoughts and their bodies. Yes, I understand and trust that there are things parents need to guide their children through, but here's the fucked up part about this, where people are saying, that baby too young to make that choice for themselves, la 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 la. But yet, we make our kids get up, go to school, go walk to school on their own, learn on their own, learn these skills of being an adult on their own, right? Not even our parents teaching us through homosocialized groups of other teenage boys and teenage girls teaching us how to be functional adults, about how we feel about ourselves, but yet we don't have the capability to respect that a young child knows who the fuck they are, but you're telling them they got to be a grown-ass adult and know how to function in this world that you don't even know how to function in? What type of sense does that make? This is where we have to stop doing this. Children know way more than we do because they're starseeds. They came here knowing who they were before we were conditioned to be somebody else's puppet. You understand what I'm saying? This is where the emotional conditioning comes in, and this is where the emotional intelligence needs to step up and say, wow, I've been conditioned to believe I don't have a choice in how I feel. I've been conditioned to believe that I can't trust the process of my own spiritual journey, that I innately know I'm supposed to follow this path, but because I was told it's either this or that, then I have to pick this or that. No, baby, that's an old system of intangibility that was conduced to be real because we didn't have the technology, the understanding, or the access to the world like we do now. This is why we have to respect what technology does for the emotional development of this new world. Now we're able to talk to each other. Now we're able to see each other. Now you guys are watching me and you're around the world right now, and I think it's beautiful. But we didn't have this in the past. So of course you're going to get old systems of thinking that, well, it's worked this way this long in this area, it must be true. That's a practical, logical conclusion because you only know what's been in front of you. You can only be what's been represented in front of you until you break that fractal pattern and understand that, oh wow, this is only one side of it. Wow, this whole time, me, this functional being who can think, see, breathe, and understand and comprehend, and then walk out to this world, I'm easily shifted and changed by somebody else's words. Wow. How much power and magic goes into their energy that I'm able to just be like, I don't know who I am anymore. But we give power away like that every day to others. We do it on these things. I can post a quote and somebody feels the need to go into a dissertation about how they feel about that quote, not realizing it's just a quote to help you navigate your day, navigate your life. It's energy. How you choose to see it is your choice of duality. If you choose to live on one side of a concept, that is your choice. If you choose to see both sides of that concept, now you're using your free will to add something additional to what you did not have before, which is wisdom of experience. Now I see not only this, but I have this to compile and make anew. This is how we grow. This is how we shift our energy. I've had people tell me, Juwan, well, I feel this about you, and you know, you always do this. You're talking about a version of me from 3 years ago where I still was developing. That's not fair to me, and it's not fair to you, because now you're stopping in a timeline and keeping us both there, and neither one of us can grow. We do this in friendships. We pick people who energetically we think we're aligned with because they're doing the same actions as us. That's not friendship. That's called replication. Okay, right? You're just repeating a behavior. That's not a friendship. A friendship is we can kick it anyway, anytime, anywhere, and talk deep or not deep, and know that we're here because we love each other energetically and can support each other when necessary, when I need you, not because I have to have you in my life. There's people who think they have to have someone around them all the time. When you do that, you're telling yourself you're an empty vessel and you need to be constantly filled by someone else. You understand what I'm saying? The divine masculine and feminine are inside of both of us. How you treat your divine masculine is how you attract your divine feminine. How you treat your divine feminine is how you attract your divine masculine. And I don't mean sexually. I mean friendship, job, everything. If I'm more aggressive and assertive and I never take the time to create, I'm shutting down my feminine. And then I'm going to be more attracted to someone who's way more creative than me because they're an expression of what I want to be. That's reflection. If I'm so lovey, artsy, all over the place, I might be more attracted to someone who's more stable and financially capable of taking care of things because I've always lived in the clouds. That's cool. But then what happens when you get into this relationship or friendship and then someone passes away or that relationship falls apart or dissolves? Now you're not only an empty vessel, now you're a tapped out vessel because the one source of life you were relying on is gone. You have to learn how to do this for yourself. Anytime I get sad, up to this day, now I'm depressed. If you can hear the music, I listen to music, I'll play cartoons, I'll play with toys, color. I'll go back to the things that helped me as a child develop through the noise of the world because we are not giving these tools as kids. We're told to go to our rooms. Again, I can't decide about what to do with my life or body or who I'm attracted to, but I have to go off and sit in my own thoughts and this whole big world of chemical emotions and your insecure reactions, and then apply that to my daily happenings to make sense of the world around me. This is how we get stuck in linear timelines. This is how we get stuck in paradigms of I can't move past stuck. If you tell yourself that, again, put your hand on your chest and say that. You just told yourself you're not capable. Why? For whose pleasure? Start listening to yourself. It's setting a spell. It's casting a spell on you because every word spoken, even the words I'm speaking, were given to me through study, through thought, through someone else teaching me something I read. It was all given to me. And then I got to emotionally navigate these words and these understandings of implied intent to make it cohesive to my daily world. You understand what I'm saying? Let me get this, let's get this straight right now. Being a leader is not easy. And we are in need of leaders more than ever because what a leader does, a leader walks through all of the shadow work and emotions for everyone, plus themselves. And then they come out and say, you ain't gonna shake my foundation because you don't agree with me. You ain't gonna shake my foundation because you don't believe in me. You ain't gonna shake my foundation because you don't see what I can see. That's a leader, because eventually when that person goes off and plays the game with everybody else and realize they're just playing in the shallow parts of the water and they ain't never swam past the buoys in the deep end, and you realize they can't actually swim, and then they ask pulling you down and you both drowning, guess who finds out what they needed? That person who's out there floating in the deep and ain't drowning. How do you do that? How do you do that? I set my boundaries. I don't make rules of control. I set boundaries. Because think about this. No is an emotional boundary, okay? And it's necessary. You have to say no to yourself. You have to say no to others. Yes is an emotional contract. That's why people feel obligated to do things they don't really want to do. Well, I said yes, so now I feel like I gotta do this. And no, you don't. You said yes because you had to, remember, so okay, I think cut off for a minute. You said yes because you were trained that's nice. Nice is not giving up your energy. Okay? Nice is someone who you see needs to sit down and you offer them your chair. That's nice. But you don't say, oh, you want my chair and my food and all my money and everything? And they're like, sure. And then they give you nothing back and you're mad about it. This is the expectation of emotions. This is the expectation of someone else's imprinting. So when you take that away from someone, including yourself, you're just an empty vessel. And then you're left to imprinting and projections of others. And that's why we get sad. That's why we get depressed. That's why we get anxiety. Because you're telling yourself, I'm not learning anymore. I'm not teaching anymore. Where are we going from here? And your body's like, I don't know. You're supposed to tell me. Well, I don't know either. So why don't you just go be depressed more and like find other people who are depressed and not work through it? You know how many times people told me I talk too deep? You ain't my crew then. I'm okay with that. I'm not mad by me speaking too much, but I'm not going to turn down my way of vocalizing how I need to be loved and my emotions and how I like to interact because you're uncomfortable with going into conversations that you're emotionally not prepared for. That's how you get prepared, by letting yourself sit through the uncomfortness or discomfort, not making up words. You know what I mean though? Like, people get mad that you're not mad with them. Like, I've sat there, someone's, oh, so you on their side. I'm just listening. Am I supposed to react because you're reacting? People actually expect that. That's what we've been trained to do. That's what we've been trained to be. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to say, if you have any questions, feel free. I'm just popping off right now. I'm just having a conversation with you guys. I just want this to be a place where I've done enough shadow work and things on my own that now I'm capable of being able to give answers that are tangible to people. I'm not saying I'm right about everything, but I know that I've experienced enough that I can give another perspective and outlook and some insight to things that we negate to deal with in our daily lives. When we get used to being stuck, we stay stuck. And then we get jaded. And then we repeat the jadedness. And then those cycles conduce us into believing that this is the only reality that exists because it's always happened this way. That's your reality. When you step out of that vibrationally, like I said, if you step out of that linear system of thinking and go into that tertiary and you're able to see that there's a bigger trifecta of things happening that connect you to your purpose, that's when the visions start happening. That's when the actual creation of, wow, I used to do that. So now that I see I used to do that and I used to react that way, now I know that I can feel this without reacting that way. Does that make sense? At any time, like I said, this is not me just preaching. This is me trying to have a conversation. If you want to talk, talk. If you don't want to and you just want to listen, that's great too. I can talk all day. But that's not what I'm going to do. That's not the purpose or function of this. In order to get to a place of universal healing, we have to get to a place of individual healing. And it starts with being honest about our environment within self. If you are sad or mad about something, ask why. Why am I sad or mad? Because I don't like them. Why don't you like them? Because they annoy me. Why do they annoy you? Because every time this happens, they do this. Okay, so how does it make you feel? You had to go through all that just to get back to your own feeling. When you could have just said, I don't like feeling this way. It's not them. I just know I don't like feeling this way, so I'm going to walk away from the situation. Get it? That's what we do, though. So you have to start recognizing that it's not about appeasing anyone else. It's not even about appeasing yourself. It's about listening to yourself. Listening to the innate gut feeling that says, this don't feel right, or this feels right. Right? And then you're like, okay, I think I know what I need to do. And then you go out there and you do it, and it blows up in your face. Be like, that's okay. I tried. That's how you grow. That's how you get to the next place. Or it works out. Great. But don't get stuck in saying this is the only way it's been. You know how many times people ask me about relationships and about the other person and forget to ask about themselves? Because you know I'm going to ask. You ain't going to talk to me and think I'm going to let you just not talk about yourself now, did you? No. People are like, well, they did this, they did this, they did this. Okay, but guess what, baby? You attracted them into your life because it's a reflection of where you are now. If you attract a karmic is someone who constantly has to go back and forth with you. You pop off, they pop off. You talk back, they talk back. You do something, they do tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. It's not them, it's both of you, because you're showing each other how you think you need to be loved, right? Great. Twin flame is energetically we know who we are inside, but we're going through the balancing of the energies. The fire in the air, the water in the earth. We're trying to balance our elements. That's twin flame, because we're both in and out, in and out, in and out. One's a chaser, one's a runner. One's a chaser, one's a runner, because real energy chases and runs until they attract. That's twin flame. Soulmate union. Soulmate is when you yourself become your own soulmate. I love who I am. I love what I do. I love what I represent. Guess who you attract? A soulmate. Someone who loves who they are and loves what they do. And they love you for loving you for that same reason. And that's why soulmate relationships feel easy. That's why they're like, this is my best friend. It just felt natural because they know who they are energetically at that point. Now, what everyone thinks they want to reach and try to reach, and it's okay if you reach it, kudos to you. It's the divine union. The what do they call them? I forgot what it's called. Twin ray or twin flame. That's the Beyonce and Jay-Z. That's Jada and Will. That's those couples that they can change the goddamn world. Why? Because individually they conquered all of their shadow work. They conquered all of the shadow work up until that point that created them as the human they are. So if, as Will, as the man, he had to go through all of his emotional conditioning and homosocialism of being a black man. I remember growing up and people like, oh, he a punk, he weak because he don't cuss, he ain't no rapper. I'm sorry, rapping, being a rapper means you have to be tough, you got to cuss. He had to go through all that. Fresh Prince and all that was his whole journey of how to be a black man in America that's telling you you got to be a certain way. Jada came from the streets. She was like, I'm this way, I'm this way. I like rock and roll, heavy metal. But people looking at you, why would you like that? That's not your music. Wait. Music is a vibration to share with everyone. Culture is meant to be shared with everyone. But we have let ourselves get caught in emotional bubbles of society. Remember, it's as above, so below. So it reflects back on all of us. So if you live in an emotional bubble of people who shut you down every time you have a fun thought or a cool idea, that's weird, that's stupid, that's gay. That means they don't know, and they don't know where to go from there. Let them. But don't let that change your chemistry of who you are. Be like, well, that's how you feel. I know who I am. I wish everyone could do that, but they're not there yet, and that's why it's important to share our knowledge, share our wisdom, share our experiences. I don't know everything about everything, but I do know enough to give back to those who feel imbalanced within themselves. Because if anything, I can tell people, I'm not sad at all, but this is a lonely world. I'm 35 years old, still, I have a great life. No, not married, no children, nothing. I gotta buy my kids. That's real talk. Regardless, I gotta pay for we all pay for our children, but I have to pay someone to say, this is how much I want to show my love. I'm ready to go purchase a child. That's when I tell people, recognize the beauty in the fact that you can just have kids. You can raise a family. You can go out and get that job you choose to get if you apply the work to it. It's not about not having it. I used to think I couldn't have it because I wasn't deserving of it. But then I realized we're deserving of anything that we create as long as emotionally we know why we deserve it, not why we need to have it. Are you following me? When we think we need to have it, it's not our want, it's someone else's. When we know that we deserve it, it's our creation of matter saying, I recognize that this brings me joy and functionality in everything that I do. When I can correlate my function to my purpose, then I create a moment of passion that exudes and replicates out into the universe, that makes it energy that now, not only can I get up and start my day and be in a good mood, I can help others do the same without an expectation. We go out into the world wanting a reaction because we've been taught that's how we get love. That's not love. That's a distorted version of love that came from the distorted masculine and the distorted feminine who have learned how to live for their sexual bodies, for their parts. That's what really comes down to the distorted masculine and feminine. Boys do this and girls do this. For whose attraction? Right? Well, if you dress like this, that's gay. Well, I'm gay, so that works. Now what? Oh, well, I get a lot of women and men who are attracted to me, and because of that, they don't know what to do with that. I'm not saying I'm cocky because of that, but you come up and tell me I'm attractive, and then you get mad at me for saying I'm not attracted to you. Whose insecurity is that? That's why we have to let go of these bodies and listen to the mind when it's saying my heart is hurting and they need to communicate, versus my mind is going and I need to react to what my mind is saying, and then I'll tell my feelings how they feel. That's how we shut ourselves down. That's what we were taught as kids. Go sit down. Don't interrupt adults. Don't speak up unless you're spoken to. Right? That's shutting down emotional development. Now, of course, there are moments when you get those kids and they need to be like, I will check your children, trust me. Where they're coming up, yeah, interrupting. No, I'm going to tell them like an adult, which they will be, hey, I'm going to need you to calm down and say, excuse me, because we're having a conversation. You want to share energy. When you want to be heard, you want to be heard, right? Yes, okay. Now, in that moment, not only did I teach them self-awareness of themselves, but also others. And in self-awareness, you gain respect, you gain compassion, and you understand how to apply empathy. Because now children love to be taught. They're sponges. That's what they crave. They mimic us. They watch us. But when you keep giving them things that shut you down as a child and then turn around and wonder why they're acting out, you're not acknowledging them as a human being. You're acknowledging them as the child you created, not as a specimen that will grow up to be a functional human being that has to function with the rest of society. And then we go through society asking why there's certain people who act and think certain ways. Because we feel we're better than them and we shut down and not give them the opportunity to grow past what they were given. You understand what I'm saying? We do this to ourselves all of the time. It is part of the human condition. But that's only a duality of what we've been given up to thus far. Emotional intelligence states that in order for two things to work, there has to be a duality of the phallic and the permeable, which is the receiver. One penetrates, one takes. And when that happens, then they create or they break apart. Either way, the understanding is they're part of the process, not who I am. So if part of you breaks away, don't hold on to the part of you that broke away. Hold on to the part of you that's still holding it all together. Because that's how you replenish. That's how you grow. That's how you see the weak points of what you were giving credit to versus your own process of feeling and thinking, which gets you to understanding how you actually feel. This is what empathy means. Sympathy is two bleeding hearts. You both bleed out and you die. Empathy is loving yourself through the process and knowing that you're not going to heal overnight. When you plant that seed, you're not going to get the bounty the next day. You got to wait a couple seasons. That's the point of healing. When you allow yourself to slow down, ask questions of yourself, and give an honest, solid answer. When you're able to do this, then you're able to heal timelines. And when you're able to heal timelines, you're able to heal framework of thinking. And when you're able to produce that much, then you see that anything I think, I create, so therefore I am the creator, which is another version of God being on a level of seeing, wow, I did all this. I create this. I'm not God, but I am God. I'm the vessel, but I'm not the source that makes the vessel work. Understand? Emotions are the same thing. Emotions are only part of the sensation of God's work. If you shut down every emotion, then you're shutting down your spiritual journey. And if you shut down your spiritual journey, then you're living in a 3D world meant for reactions and other people's projections onto you. When you reject that world and you understand that you're only here as a representation of the universe and you live to the fullest, highest purpose of yourself, then you get to tap into what I call the aha moments, the epiphany, the creation, the beauty, the love, the family. That's where all that comes from. Learning empathy of self, accepting the soul journey and the spiritual journey are interconnected to what the ego reacts to. Learn how to balance self and give yourself the ability and the privilege of seeing that gratitude is necessary for your own growth. Do mirror work. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Talk about how much you love yourself. Talk about how awesome you are to yourself. I love you. Dude, you're so awesome. Like, you get up, we work out, you feed me, you make me happy. That's the soul talking to my body. Because when I'm depressed, when my soul is depressed, I don't eat. Do you understand that? When the soul is depressed, when the soul is upset, it affects the body. When the soul is happy, the body likes to function. This is why meditation, working out, having some daily routine that brings you purpose beyond someone else's function. Again, we wake up every day and go work a job for someone else's vision versus focusing on building our own while giving to others. We can build people up. Remember, you don't have to tear someone off their pedestal to get to the top. Start raising each other up and praising each other for who we are and recognizing that we can build the same thing without envy. That's where it comes back to the emotional state of, wow, they're hurting. I don't need to make them hurt more. I'm going to let them hurt, but be there and say, hey, I'm here. if you need me, and walk away. But don't, do you need me? What can I do? I just don't want you to feel this way. Now you're codependent. Now they're codependent. Now you're enabling them, and now they're enabled, and now you both are stuck here feeling like you need each other to feel better. No. It's okay to have someone who makes you feel better, but needing someone to make you feel better is letting go of your own growth and healing processes, okay? So I'm going to cut this short because I did another video on Instagram and now my mouth is starting to get tired. But I want to start doing these videos because I want to start having conversations with people who want to have a conversation back. That's why I make it live. We can sit and listen or we can talk. It's always up to you. If you have a question, you can private message me and I will answer it. I have no problem doing that. I use the quotes to start the day, but I want this to be a place of getting answers. That is my main function of what I'm doing and who I am now as a facilitator of love and a leader to light. I know my purpose and can't nobody take that away from me, and no one ever will, because I'm emotionally balanced in what I'm here to do. This is where we all are headed, and this is where we all will be. It just takes daily practice, self-care, self-love, and being selfish about learning how to be selfless. All right, I love you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of my journey, and I will continue to share my journey and anything else that you want to be a part of with me. You can follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. Those are the only three places I go because I am too old to be on TikTok. I do have a YouTube channel, but I just usually post videos there that I posted on here, so you can follow me there if you like as well. But please reach out, have a conversation, think about the things that you're going through every day so that you're able to start giving yourself real tangible answers, so we're not living through the paradigm and linear systems of the past and then blaming ancestors for what we're supposed to add to. We're too old and too smart and too innovative as a species to still be reliant on old types of conditioning. All right? Have a beautiful, wonderful Saturday. I love you guys. I wish you the best. Mwah. Besos. Bye.